You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Michael, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
3, 2, 1. Hi, this is the most illustrious Michael K. Easton.
I am Jordan Lowe.
I'm the most Cliff Barnes.
I'm the second most Cliff Barnes.
What's up, guys?
Oh, shoot.
It's flying high.
I love how I love these entrances when we act like we haven't already recorded 3 shows.
Yeah.
Like we're all like, "What's going on?" Like we've been
How
sitting
have you
here.
been this week?
We've been
In the interim, since I've seen you.
We've been talking to each other for 3 hours now.
The magic of podcasting.
Yes. Sometimes you just can't fit it all into 1 or 2 episodes, and you got to break them up and find a new way to start all over again.
That's what happens when you add a fourth post.
That's true.
And if you need even more of this wonderful content, become a patron. $1 a month gets you access to the video feeds of these lies.
Oh, nah.
This lie we're trying to sell you. We're all wearing the same clothes we've worn for 6 straight episodes.
Expose us for $1 a month.
Plus, you get access to polls and funny memes occasionally we post on our secret Facebook page. You can get Jesse can recommend other podcasts to you to listen to.
Yeah.
I memed Cliff today.
Yeah, you did. We're going to talk about that.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that was all started by a mouse. This is where the early planning is taking place for our so-called Disney World project.
Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way.
As you can see on this map, we have a perfect location in Florida. Hello, I'm Michael Eisner. We call it Epcot. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind.
We know what we hope to accomplish. And believe me, it's the most exciting and challenging assignment we've ever tackled at Walt Disney Productions.
Fun imagination, huh?
Yeah, so that was a pretty big story here a couple days ago. For anybody that didn't hear, Disney, I was so excited about the end result. It didn't even matter what was happening or where it was happening or what was going on. But there was some sort of summit. I don't know what it was about. All I care about is at the end, Josh D'Amaro came out as he's talking on stage and wrapping it up. And he basically says, "Oh yeah, by the way, one more thing," and pulls out a lightsaber hilt. And somehow, guys, Disney has figured out lightsabers again to improve it.
Now that everybody bought their ones.
Now that I've spent $800 on theme park lightsabers,
That's Disney.
Oh,
you can check out that video.
Wow.
From a year or year and a half ago. That experience we had. But yeah, he's got a lightsaber hilt that looks like no blade, just looks like a regular lightsaber, pulls it out, hits the button, blade shoots out, colored.
Wow.
Show over, guys. Show over. And
Wow.
And the worst part of it is,
did you throw yours in the garbage yet?
They can charge twice as much for that.
oh, that's easily twice as much.
Oh, it's worth it.
But the worst part is there's no video of it. It was at some forum, whatever was happening. I don't even care. It doesn't matter. There's no video to prove it. But
What?
yeah. So all we got a couple little pictures of him holding a lightsaber outside of Galaxy's Edge later on or before. Who knows when that was taken. And then we just get reports in the media.
This is what happens with cult members. They believe anything you tell them. So you
just
say, we
picture.
have real lightsabers, and they're spreading the news like gospel. They didn't even see it with their own eyes, but they will believe it to the death.
Wow.
Sign
That's
me
exciting.
Up. Take my money.
I'll get one of those babies. I'll be the coolest guy in the neighborhood.
Apparently, I'll just be out here. I'll be screwing on my blades to my. Hold on.
Oh, I've already cut you down.
Yeah. Time out. I gotta put my blade on here.
Like playing with Transformers. Hold on, let me transform.
You dig, baby. Oh, friggin'.
You could probably get a nice even cut on your lawn with one of those.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, man.
Hopefully.
I'll strike you down so fast. You don't have time to come back even more powerful.
So, yes.
Well, I mean,
we're going to be talking a little superhero stuff in a minute, but while we're at it, get through the Disney crap. Disney Plus, we didn't mention it in the last episode, but Disney Plus is recently added. I was very excited, you guys know.
Oh.
A new collection to the Star Wars category, the Vintage Collection, the Vintage Collection, and which currently features.
Should have been the furry collection.
The furry, no. That has bad connotations to it. Currently, the first thing they've added to it are the two Ewoks movies, Caravan of Courage and The Battle for Endor, an Ewoks Adventure. Also included from the much commentated 79 holiday special, the animated feature called The Faithful Wookiee that we did our commentary to a couple years ago. And then they've got the original Clone Wars up on there too. So just thought I'd throw that out there while we were talking a little Disney stuff. I was really excited. Anything? What's that?
Is there any of it worth watching?
I've always enjoyed the Ewoks movies. I know you're not an Ewoks fan.
I don't hate Ewoks.
Not what he asked.
Is any of it worth watching?
I have questions, Cliff, because I play little snippets and clips of all that stuff, just checking it out and just seeing what I remembered. But in the first Ewok movie, none of them spoke English, correct?
Correct.
Now, in the sequel...
Wicket starts to during the movie. He's picking up a word or two.
Because in the sequel, there's like, one of the Ewoks is like talking in plain English, and I'm like, what's going on here? And
that's not even the strangest part, but keep going.
But not only that, but the principle of mind blank. The bulls. Dang it! I should have thought this through.
The principle of
the bull
plays. Oh my god! I think
the Breakfast Club, Michael. The Breakfast Club.
Yes. Oh my god!
The bull gets the horns. Okay, it all ties together.
Yes. See, you guys don't speak, Michael.
The principle of the bulls.
Yes,
we figured it out.
Is the dad in the second movie?
Yes.
Is he an Ewok?
No.
Is he a human or an Ewok?
No, he's a human. So the very first movie is about a family that crash lands on the forest moon of Endor. The parents are separated from the two children. The two children are discovered by the Ewoks. That's the premise of it.
Eaten.
Go ahead.
I said and eaten.
And eaten? The second movie, it gets a little dark. All of the family except the little girl, Sindel, the little blonde girl, she's about, I don't know, she's probably about 5 years old. They're all killed off in the second movie immediately.
Yeah,
and
you mess with the bantha, you get the horse.
That's right. So then in the second movie, she encounters diabetes, Wilford Brimley, as a spaceman, and they have to team up with the Ewoks to fight the evil marauder guys that look like the invaders from that one episode of The Mandalorian where they go with the blue shrimp. So, but there is continuity here, guys. Also with this is the Ewoks original Saturday morning one season that ran of the 1985 cartoon. I remember a bit of the droids cartoon that ran at the same time, but I didn't remember much of the Ewoks. So went back and started watching some of these episodes, and there is actual continuity between these Ewok movies and the cartoon series and Return of the Jedi. They're using Ewoks that were introduced as toys and from the movie with actual names as characters in this series and the Ewoks movies, and then they even use there are props and plot devices that match up, even though they're wildly kind of different. But and then in that cartoon, they're even when they speak, they say things from little Ewok phrases from Return of the Jedi half the time. So I thought it was a neat little thing in there. I didn't expect them to have as much in sync at that time. They all kind of came out at the same time, which makes sense. But just being 80s, I thought nothing was going to match up, and they were all going to be wildly different. But they're not. So it's good.
Get your furry on.
It's good.
Well,
you just bought yourself another Saturday, bucko.
Well, the one
was
thing
a banner year on Endor. My old man joined the rebellion.
Let me tell you about the Wicked House. Sorry.
Well, I was just trying to say.
You want another one?
Yeah, I want another one.
It's two. We'll go for three.
Give me another one. The Ewoks cartoon, the one episode I said it had Paul Dini as the writer of that episode that has very big fame in animation and comic book lore and superheroes and speaking of superheroes, that was going to be my segue, but you guys just stomped all over it.
It works.
Yeah, whatever.
We could stay on Disney Plus and go to the current Marvel show. If we want to start with good news.
Yeah.
The good series that's airing.
Go ahead.
Let's start positively. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We've had two more episodes since the last we spoke. We're 2/3 of the way through.
You look like that cat from that video, Michael. He's vibing.
Will somebody get that again?
Yeah,
I feel the club music pumping.
Yep, good show.
Again,
everyone
it's layering,
hates John Walker.
It's layering in what we said we loved about it, the action, the humor, the politics, the Marvel lore. It's all working. It's all chugging along together.
Yeah, we got a big end of that episode today.
Yeah, I'd seen a lot of criticism from last week's episode about a lot of talk online about people being disappointed with it. This is the low point so far for these Marvel shows, and I don't know.
I feel like I think I said this before. I have no perspective. I honestly have I cannot see from the angle anyone else sees because I'm so intertwined with the comics that it's just like, give it to me.
I found the setup in the first two so interesting.
Yeah.
With so much potential, and then 3 didn't pay any of that off very well, and it was just kind of running around Madripoor, which, wow, we're in Madripoor, how awesome.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of became, nothing really happened. So that, to me, I didn't love 3,
I could see
but I don't
it was
think
the weakest
was
so far. Yeah, it was the weakest episode of what we've had, but I still was just into it.
Yeah, I think Miss Zemo saves the day, I think.
I would like to know, because Zemo is being Zemo through the whole episode, but for him to be like the hero, he puts on the mask. Like that made no sense whatsoever. Like that's the only time he wears a mask during that episode.
Yeah,
but that's like that does make sense to me. Like it's like that's not he would want to hide, that
he was being a hero.
Yeah, and at first, and that look is so good. I mean,
it is.
Jeez, give me a villain with furred collar.
Right. To not be a great, or his comic look is not great.
Yeah.
The purple with the furry boots and the crown.
Yeah, he's like an ultra campy Cobra Commander. He's just like or what's the guy from?
He's like a guy.
What's the guy with the Cosby Show? What's the guy from the Cosby Show with the thing with his eyeballs? Yeah, it's just like no. I heard some criticism just that he's silly. He's being silly, and it's not. He's supposed to be this villain. He was so serious in Civil War and what he's done to Bucky and all this, and now for him to be so light, but he was really campy in the comics. Like it's not a reach for this character to act like this.
To me, he's playing a rich, eccentric person. I mean, I thought he nailed it.
Oh,
yeah. That look like. They keep him in the purple, a more muted kind of purple.
The purple gloves.
The big chunky belt.
Excellent.
With the holsters gives it kind of the comic look. And then to have that collar on that coat match the kind of, the leopard print or whatever it would be in the comics. Like it was the perfect real worlding of a very silly comic book look. And he looks cool.
And in my fictional timeline, he's married to the White Witch. Because he's out here giving these kids Turkish delight. I'm just like, that is so, you never hear that. And it's like, and now that's too, I've never had Turkish delight, but it's so delicious, obviously, if Edmund and these other kids can be lured in.
I kept waiting on somebody to dump glue on his head.
Yes, I really wanted that. I did want that.
So he's working, I think, as the kind of the best thing working in the show. What did you think of Sharon Carter? Because I saw several people say she seemed out of character.
Well, is she
kind of cynical, saying this hero thing's a joke? It's all hypocrisy. She's kind of running with the villainous crowd. I wasn't sure where we kind of left her.
Well, is she not? I kind of don't want to. I feel like isn't she going to be like the power broker or something?
That's.
I haven't seen people talking about it, but it's just like she's acted so odd that it just seems like who else can it be? Like,
but I mean, that's part of the problem for the general public because they're thinking about the last time they saw her was in Civil War, where she was much more. I think. Well, what it was Civil War, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, she was more upbeat and everything, and because that's like she references, but they don't. People aren't thinking that 5 years has passed and all this crap has gone down. Of course, she's going to be a different person.
Which I guess is kind of the point of this show of like what's happened in the past 5 years has screwed things up. So, not everyone's going to be in a great place.
Yeah, I think it's great. And this fourth episode, Sebastian Stan, I mean, that blue steel face he is pulling off when they were going through the words and he's just like struggling, he was killing it. It was good. He's a good actor. He's the best actor on the show, I think.
I did have another question about that, where this episode 4, where he says it must be really easy for you with the serum. I guess I didn't. Does Bucky have the super soldier serum?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was. I mean, going back to the first Avenger movie, when he falls off the train, it's just kind of assumed that they experimented. That's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the same in the comics? Is he a super soldier?
I can't remember.
And I don't
think so.
I don't remember that, but
in the MCU, I don't think he's ever been like. He's never been full on Steve Rogers super soldier.
Some Russian version of
variant, yeah.
I that kind of threw me because I'm like, wait, was I supposed to know that, or did I know that, or not know that, or does that make
it definitely made me
the more super soldiers you keep throwing out there, it makes Steve a little less special, but
no, it shows how special he was. He does it when he dealt with his partner dying, he just cried.
Yeah.
He just chilled and was just like, that sucks. He didn't go ape shit. And the whole point is saying like this super soldier serum like accentuates who you are, like whatever you are, and it shows how he's a special person, how he became even better, and this John Walker is a mess. There was a lot of justification today on what he did and how that's what anybody would do. No.
Another reason I'd like this series to be a little longer, like I would prefer him to kind of have to wrestle with that choice and get, and again, I don't know if the end of this episode is a definite turn for his character into an irredeemable villain or if it's a little softer, but like it seemed to have happened kind of fast. Like I feel like there could have been a longer descent here.
I think it had to be a reaction to keep him from being a villain. Like I want so bad for him to fit what I want John Walker to be, and I think so far he is what I want him to be. Like seriously, that character is exactly what I think John Walker should be. Gung ho, trying to be, thinking he's just as good as Cap was, and let's go USA, but then doing the ruthless thing that Cap would never do. That's so right. That's the comics, man. That's what it is. So I hope that they continue with that and that he is redeemable. That's what I want from that character.
Yeah, Alicia was actually watching, catching up with it tonight. And as she was watching in there, those last, I think it was the last episode, she was just like, she made the comment. She's like, what is this guy's deal? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, why does he act this way? I said, he's a soldier.
He's a cop.
Yeah,
he's a United States cop. Is what he thinks he is.
I said he's used to just punching his way out of everything, and that's what you're seeing right now. So
yeah, I don't remember if we mentioned on the last episode about the most obvious thing. Like this is what Dr. Erskine warned them about.
Right.
You can't pick a guy you have to pick a guy like Steve, who understands power and weakness and bullying. If you pick a perfect, Tommy Lee Jones wanted a perfect soldier, and Erskine said, no, you're going to get something back. So this is the culmination of that decades later.
Yeah, he thinks he's Cap. It's like, oh, you'd ever jump on a grenade? Yeah, with my helmet many times. Well, that's not what we're talking about. You're a different guy. You did it you didn't jump on it just with your body to save people, it's good stuff.
I know fans have not, especially like you say, Alicia, or anyone who's a more casual fan than we are, has not warmed to this guy. I don't know what they thought he was going to be. If they thought he was going to be your all-time replacement for Cap, but nobody likes him, which, as we said, is good. That's what the character should be. But people were tweeting, angry things at the actor of you suck. You should stop being, people taking it way too far.
Yeah, that's where they just don't get the intricacies of what's happening. This isn't the new Cap.
Yeah, ridiculous.
That's not what this is. And by the end of the couple more episodes, he won't be. I imagine it's I've just always assumed that this, and now I'm not positive anymore because there are only a couple episodes left, and I think that's not enough to do what needs to be done. But this has to come back around to Sam eventually being Cap, and this guy being something else, being U.S. agent, So I'm curious. I don't know. What about the I forget the name of the Wakanda people, the Melange or something.
Dora Milaje.
Yeah, that was awesome.
This is Ayo, A-Y-O, is the character who showed up at the end of 3 and then brought in reinforcements here in 4.
That was excellent stuff, and I love the idea of, yes, we like you and gave you this technology, but if you think that we're going to give you some technology that we can't disarm you, literally disarm you from immediately, we know the secret you can't use it against us.
And I'm very glad they re-explained that Zemo killed T'Chaka, the original Black Panther, like, because I would have forgot. I wouldn't
totally
have
forgot.
Everybody's just like Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. So it may have taken me a while to remember, like, oh, that's why the Wakandans would be after Zemo. That makes perfect sense. So.
Yeah. I love it.
But
it's made for me, is what I feel like, you know.
And again, 3, I feel like didn't hit the politics very hard again, like we were talking about, the symbolism. And like 4 came back real hard on that, of like talking to Infus Nest, whatever, Carly.
Yeah.
That shield is a symbol of everyone history forgot. So to her, to us, the Captain America shield is the symbol of America and strength and patriotism. But like, to her, it's like, there's other people on the planet who don't look at that shield the same way.
Yeah, I wanted her to give speech. I wanted that speech to be when she was talking to Sam, but it was just she's talking to that other dude. But it was like.
So then that ending shot with blood on the shield, like, I mean, what a perfect visual for what we've been talking about, of like, history and forgotten people and what America is known for, the good and the bad, we'll say.
Yeah.
I think Zemo's a great character to have to have this terrible villain Zemo, and then this maybe not so terrible villain Carly, to have the opposite, like opposing viewpoints on those of the two ends of the spectrum, and to have a left-wing villain. Like, these are like left-wing terrorists. Like, normally in comics, it's the right-wing fascist, I'm going to take over the world. We're the Nazi, we're analogs. Yeah. But this is like a different twist on that, of like, there should be no borders, more of a liberal set of ideals that is taken too far, that can be just as dangerous.
Yeah.
So that's for the SJW bashers who don't like some of this current politics and their entertainment. Like, here's a different take on that.
I think this series is going to be one of those Marvel installments that when we revisit it later, yes, there will be some weak spots, but the overall story is going to be elevated by what they do after this. It's going to make a lot more sense to the general public what is happening here when they get wherever we're going.
Yeah. Well, the other big series that's kind of running here at the same time is we mentioned briefly as it came out, is Amazon's Invincible. Now, have you guys are you caught up on it yet?
Yep.
I did not get today's episode.
It continues, without being, full of spoilers, it continues to impress me because I don't know the story. I didn't read these books. But I'm like, I watched today's episode, I don't even know, is it 5 we got today? Yeah. And I was just like, man, if this is what Kirkman wrote on the series, I was like, this is so good. Like, there are so many, he's shaking his head, but I know they've changed up some stuff, but
it's very faithful.
Mm-hmm.
But I swear the show, like, if I'd watched the show first and wanted to go back and read the comics, I feel like I'd be disappointed.
Okay.
Because you're going to get the same story, but I feel like the show is hitting things stronger, and the comic just belabors it a little bit. Or
maybe I'm giving him a little too much credit because I haven't.
Well, he may be going back and doing this.
Correcting.
He's fixing things. Is
it that the show, because it has a limited amount of time, is it just condensing things and doing them faster? Where the book is more of a slower slog.
But like this 5th episode with Titan, that story, that was a single issue in the comic, and it's the exact same story.
Oh man, it was great.
But it feel like I went back and flipped through my compendium looking at it after I watched it, and it was like there's panels that are just all dialogue, and the action, like the splash page was just kind of a little quarter, like when they bust through the window in the office and like they were here to save the day, like it just wasn't as big in the comic. So again, they were still very early in the comic run. He was still figuring it out, but the show, I think it's worth a read. I'm enjoying the comic, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did the comic first, and now I can watch the show because I don't know how my opinion would change.
Is the show starting to produce more sales for that down at your store?
Somebody bought a couple back issues the other day. I don't know if they were trying to scalp them or what, eBay them or something.
I think it was a week or two after the show came out. I had seen issue number 1 was going for some high dollars, but I don't know. I just, the storyline, the complexity of the storyline, I'm really enjoying. I don't want to say I enjoy. It's a fresh take for me on a cartoon show like this to see the heroes lose. It's ultra violent, whatever. Okay, sure. But to see them lose now and again, to see them, take it just as hard as some of these villains that we're so used to do, I've just enjoyed it. So
it kind of reminds me of the Young Justice cartoon mixed with the violence of the boys.
Yeah, it definitely, like, I the first episode I watched, I felt that kind of Young Justice feel with it. So just with the the character types, the power sets are pretty common stuff. That's not really the focus of the story. But yeah, just the way the team, putting the team together of these mostly young people, and the kind of being mentored by older heroes. It's definitely the same theming.
Yeah, it's good. What's next?
Stuff that's not good.
Michael's got
the CW is in full superhero swing.
Oh, I only watch
the swing and a miss.
Well, we had Superman and Lois debut, and we liked that a lot, but it only had 5 episodes,
and all the episodes were great.
And then it ended. It didn't feel like it ended on an ending point. It was just kind of, they stopped and said, "We'll be back on May 18th. In the meantime, here's Supergirl." So they kind of switched in Supergirl for Superman and Lois, and it has not been as good.
It had a 500K drop from Superman to the debut of Supergirl.
Wow! So this is season 6, the last season of Supergirl. Yeah. They've already announced this is the final season. And again, it's not all their fault. Most of these shows had to end early because of COVID. They didn't get to finish their storyline, so these shows are kind of scrambling to wrap up last season and kick off something new. So it was always bound to be a bit of a mess, but I don't know if it had to be as big as a mess as it's been.
No, I have not watched these. Is Supergirl kind of back to season 1 Supergirl on CBS? Do you like? I criticized that show a lot during that initial. It was on CBS that first year, if you remember. We were still doing SoPro podcast, and I was just like, the effects suck, the makeup costumes suck. I don't like this show. And then as soon as it switched to CW, it got good, and I enjoyed it. So are we back to kind of that season 1 feel?
It's not so much the effects problem. I think CW, as far as their special effects go, have pretty much nailed how to do things on a small budget. Mm-hmm. They usually pull it off fairly well. Even like their CGI, where a lot of CGI for TV, like a TV show, can't be that great, but I feel like they do a fairly decent job at it. But they've learned how to do things, just like with Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian. Like, they just look like regular people until they actually do something with their powers, and then they'll go full Martian. There's little tweaks that they do, but the biggest problem with the Supergirl show and the Flash show is they spent this whole entire season previous of this one long storyline that was like, I feel like both of them were beat to death, the storylines. And then when they came back, they wrapped them up so quickly, it sucked. Like, there was just like, I mean, and they decided to give Alex a code name, which is now Sentinel. That is Supergirl's brother or sister. And for some reason, instead of giving her a mask, they decided to give her a unibrow. Like, that's the best way to describe.
Like wild eye makeup, yeah.
Yeah. It made no sense at all. And they're using simple plot devices to carry the story on that, like,
does every character on Supergirl now, are they all super powered now?
Yes, every cast member.
Ugh. And no sexy Jimmy or sexy James is
gone,
right?
We got
James Olsen. I read books and work out. James Olsen. It's okay. I can trust him with the big secret.
We got his sister now because she's Alex's girlfriend.
Oh.
James Olsen.
But there's things that don't make sense just from like a comic book standpoint.
What is her name?
Groove into that.
What's her name?
But like Miss Martian and Martian Manhunter both have like tactical superhero uniforms. But there's these scenes where they're just talking as normal people, and Martian Manhunter is completely out of his costume, talking to her. Like, I mean, he's got clothes on, but she is still in the same superhero uniform that she's wearing for the whole episode. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And then there's like another scene where you got Dreamer and Brainiac, and Brainiac uses an image inducer to look normal.
Mm-hmm.
So why, when it's just the two of them, why is he still looking normal? Why does he not look like Brainiac with the green skin? Like, that's not that high dollar effect. Just little simple small tweaks like that are like very problematic.
Yeah, neither of the shows are doing a great job mixing the superhero-y stuff and the everyday life stuff for sure. But Cliff, they addressed the Ralph Dibny situation of not having that actor.
Yeah, that's great. Right. He got fired.
Yeah, so early in the season, they just had somebody say, like, because Sue had been framed for murder at the end of last season. And they just have somebody say, oh, her and Ralph are way off the grid. Just basically, well, we'll never see them again because they're running for their lives. But like a couple episodes later, Sue came back with Ralph, and he had been melted in a fight. So like it was just a special effect of a blob of like Play-Doh. He was like, whoa, 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 like he couldn't talk, so they didn't need the actor. So they put him in like a healing chamber and gave him a Daft Punk helmet and like sealed him up like to heal. Wow. And they had him talk like this: "Well, goodbye, Flash. I'll see you again, never." And they had him leave, but without ever having to have the actor on the show.
Ralph went back to his home planet.
Right. But ostensibly, he's trying to solve the mystery and get Sue, who Sue had been framed for murder, and save her. But they're having their own adventures that are not being filmed right now.
Wow.
But yeah, what Flash has done with Wells has driven me crazy.
Oh, what are you talking about?
I mean, this is his normal thing. We kill off a Wells and replace him with another Wells, and that's fine. But they've done it like 3 times. They had the Council of Wells, all the multiple Wells.
Yeah.
And they had an episode where they all got put into Barry, which was a fun... He was doing impressions of all of them.
That frustrated me so badly. That episode sucked so horribly.
So the original Wells had to sacrifice himself to get the artificial Speed Force back up and going. Whatever. Scientific hoo-ha. So he sacrificed himself to get the Speed Force, and then another Wells immediately returns in the next episode.
Oh.
But it's the very original Wells from that. He's the one that was originally killed in
by the Reverse Flash.
Yes, the very original.
So then we have another long goodbye where I swear there was like montages of his history and music and like goodbye. And like you think, okay, the actor must be leaving now, and they kill him off. And immediately that's when the original comes back. So they've killed him off twice now and brought him back 3 times. They keep toying with my emotions. You can't have a 10-minute goodbye Wells sequence over and over again.
The last Wells was so stupid. Like, okay, I'm gonna go relive the time that, up to the time my wife dies. I'll just see you guys. I can now travel.
But again, I feels like everything's squeezed in just to get it over with. Yeah. The previous storyline to wrap it up and to start new stuff. They've introduced a few new villains and
the one thing that I will say that I've enjoyed and I've thought was kind of humorous is that Kate Snow has separated her from her Killer Frost persona. Right. They're actually 2 people now.
What?
And they're trying to, they're actually roommates now.
Oh my god!
They're trying to, but it's funny watching the actress play both roles. Like, I actually kind of get a kick out of that.
Wow!
But they're starting to like pull stuff from more recent comic book storylines. Now they're introducing all these different forces. Of like, there's the Speed Force, there's the Still Force, there's the Sage Force. And they're incorporating all that stuff, but they're not doing a very good job of it. Like,
I've been fast forwarding through most of it because it doesn't make any sense to me. So,
well, this last episode, Cisco and Chunk like go back in time to the 90s, and I was super excited. I was like, yes. It was completely wasted. It was so dumb. Like, basically all they did was, and tell me how this makes sense. They've dressed in what they thought were 90 clothes and acted like they were in high school. Like, it was dumb.
The Force was not with them.
No, it was not. But The thing that made me mad about Flash is like the one episode, like, I totally hated it. I was like, I'm done with it. And then I watched the next episode and it totally brought me back. I can't even remember like what it was, but there was something that was.
You don't remember the one you liked, but you remember the one he hates.
My brain is fried, dude. I have been delivering too much stuff.
This show is just has you on an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. But I remember, like, it was like it choked me up. I can't remember, but I know I got choked up. But then in the next episode, I'm just like, I'm done. And then Supergirl's back, but she gets thrown in. Like, the best thing about Supergirl was John Cryer's acting as Lex Luthor. Like, he gets put on trial and he gives this like total jerk speech that is like I mean, he is hitting all these like notes of this bravado.
Like, they have him dead to rights again, as we've talked to previous, of like, he is guilty and he's like, they're trying to destroy me. They want powerful people to, they're jealous of my success. And it's like, again, it's a lot of what's happening in the world today.
Sounds familiar.
They're just haters trying to bring me down because I've won and I'm successful and I have the power. And his argument was successful with the jury. Go figure.
Are they going to move him over to Superman and Lois?
I seriously doubt. At least not a while, because they have the black Lex Luthor from Earth 3.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but I mean, we could kill him off pretty quickly. I mean, they have everybody else in these shows. I mean, they've rushed everything else. Just kill him off and put the guy everybody likes in.
Well, I'm wondering if they're going to maybe use that as an introduction to the crime syndicate. So it's like on his Earth, Superman is evil. So I mean, they could easily go that route.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing on his Earth. He was the one that was with Lois Lane. That even has a nod going back to the original Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
No, not cool.
Not cool.
Well, let's end on a positive note. I'll throw out a recommendation here before we go. It's not a superhero show, but it is comic book related. Thumbs up to Resident Alien, the sci-fi series. I don't remember if I talked about this on air before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Alan Tudyk. I think I mentioned it maybe when it first started.
Briefly.
Yep.
It's all 10 episodes have aired. It's just the first season is over. I love this show. I thought it was great. It's based on a Dark Horse comic by Peter Hogan and Steve Parkhouse. Just an alien shows up and has to disguise himself as a small town Colorado doctor to go through with this mission that he has. Alan Tudyk is hilarious in the role as an alien trying to adapt to our world. His mannerisms, his speech patterns. He acts like it. He seems like an alien almost. There is a fun cameo from his Firefly castmate if you might not even recognize unless you were paying very close attention. Of Nathan Fillion has a quick cameo. Linda Hamilton is in it for a few episodes. Terry O'Quinn from Lost, John Locke from Lost is in it for an episode. And Alice Wetterland.
Did he have an orange? Did he eat an orange?
No, he didn't. But he was an alien hunter. No one could tell him what he couldn't do, find aliens. But co-starring Alice Wetterland, who is she was the female coder on Silicon Valley, has been in the news recently about some of this Me Too stuff, and she's a stand-up comedian as well. She's really funny, and also like almost half the cast is Native American in this small village in the mountains, and it's like that's unique. That's not a typical thing on American TV right now. So to have to be set right adjacent to an Indian reservation and have these characters' points of view is really interesting. But I don't know, it's just the tone of it is so strong of like what you think, like you're hoping for him to be E.T., the cuddly alien, and he doesn't like humans. He's annoyed by us. His technology is way advanced. He thinks we're all morons, but he also doesn't know. He never knows what's going on. So he's very dumb and never knows what's happening. But he's very haughty and like, oh, these foolish humans, and he just talks down to us and is rude to everyone he comes in contact with. And it just has a nice tone of like he just randomly wants to murder people, and you hear his inner thoughts where they're like my favorite episode is the Terry O'Quinn one. They go to an alien convention for like alien abduction survivors, and like his friend gets up and talks about these aliens are here because we're gonna learn from each other. And we come from two different places, but we're gonna work together. And it's this heartwarming, swelling music, and it cuts to Alan Tudyk, and he's smiling. He's like, "Nope, not gonna happen." It's like, I hate you all. So it's like it every time you think it's gonna go to the warm and fuzzy, lovable stuff, it skews a little darker. So it's a comedy and sort of a sci-fi adventure, but I thought it was terrific for judging on the scale of a sci-fi original drama. It was well worth watching.
Well, guys, this has been super fun, but not as much fun as it could have been. So until next time, I am the flying high Michael K.
Do you have a CO2 or like a carbon monoxide monitor or anything in your house? You could check on.
His hair's turned green. Is that
mold in your basement?
I have had a lot of sun this week. Let me tell you.
He's fried. Let's get him vibing.
All right, folks. Well, you know how it is sometimes. Things are like other things, but not always. So I guess that's what that'll be till it's not. My name's Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
And that's that. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udownwithkpp.com, to receive special content and early access to some episodes. We are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free, so please continue to like, comment, and share.
Oh, I got a funny story to tell you guys really quick. Because I don't know if it would be good on air.
Cliff
will decide. Yeah,
I'll be the
you
judge.
just go and tell it.
Go record it.
You can tell it. Oh, we're always recording.
My buddy at work that I was talking about how he has the crazy in-law. He's down on Camden Avenue, and there's these two meth heads fighting, and they're like,
"Why do you think this isn't good for the show?"
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
go on.
You can use it if you want. But anyway, they're fighting, and the one guy like has a duffel bag, and he has like a steak like saran wrap on a paper plate. and they're fighting and arguing back and forth, and he's like, just stop there. The one guy throws all the other guys' crap on top of his mail truck. And he's just sitting here like, what am I supposed to do here? So like, and then like they go running off, like the one guy's chasing the other guy, and he's like, he stops and gets out, and he's trying to like take the stuff off and put it down. But what's funny is like when they threw it up, like the steak like hit his windshield and like kind of did the slow like slide down.
And that's the prank show I would watch.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about. So they go running off.
Prank my mailman.
Like, and he's trying to get the stuff off the top of his mail truck. And all of a sudden this woman shows up out of nowhere, and she's yelling and screaming at him. And she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm trying to get this guy's stuff off my mail truck.
She yelled at the mailman?
Like, yeah, she's like, but she's yelling at him. She's like, that's my stuff.
That's my steak.
You don't have enough postage. I can't take it.
I was like, please tell me the steak was raw. And he's like, well, I mean, it was in saran wrap. So she comes running over and like he's like scooping everything up, and he's like trying to get the hell out of there as fast as possible. But I was just
like a Schwann's guy with his back door open.
Yeah.
Shit everywhere.
She was screwing both those meth heads, and one of them tried to steal her stuff from her.
Probably.
That was her payment.
It's crazy in Peaburg.
Anyway.
All right.
Count it down.